Okay, today is June 24, 2014. Let's take a look at the market. The market kind of pulled back a little bit today. Little bit of a sudden move, right after right after 12 o'clock New York time. But we mentioned about that possibility of a pullback this week, right? On the weekend video. We're saying that the market is a little bit overextended, overbought. So a little pullback wouldn't be surprised. But the way that it showed up, I think it might have spooked a lot of people, So, but the thing is, I think if we put the market in proper perspective, this is not the that 10% that everybody is looking for. So we might get a little minor pullback. Like I said, any kind of pullback is probably be shadow. But of course, time will tell. Anything could happen. It could basically just reverse itself and just sell off. But looking at the recent price action. And also some past experience, it just doesn't happen like that. Okay, so but anyway, let's just kind of take a look at what we are seeing in front of us instead of trying to project what might happen and what might not, and so forth and so forth. Let the talking head do the prediction. We basically are looking at the reality, what is in front of us, and then see what kind of sense we can make out of it, and try to extract the message that the market is trying to tell us. So right now, looking at the S&P 500, you see this little big dip here, and we expect it to probably pull back to maybe somewhere around this 1930, 1929 level, somewhere around this, this level here, because it's kind of booked through here on this little pivot high. So, and if we take a look at the, the intraday chart here on a 30-minute basis, you can see that right here, it kind of tell you that the market is already kind of turning around. You see this little shooting star here on a 30-minute bar here, somewhere around 11:30. So you can see that as soon as lunch hour comes along, and you see that the market is kind of giving way a little bit. And by watching the tick, I was kind of tweeting out on stock tweet about the tick, and we were seeing those over negative 1,000. You could see those sell program come in because it take these sell program to push the tick to minus 800 or much lower number. Okay, so when you see these minus 1,200, 1,400, even close to 2,000, there's some big sell program or multiple sell program out there in the market pushing those tick down. And then once they push it down, that takes it back up, back up to maybe plus 500 or maybe getting to even and that kind of stuff. And then you can see it start rolling over again and push it back down. So you can see there's a lot of, kind of selling coming in, and you can see maybe there's some rotation or something. You saw the energy kind of got sold off a lot of those stuff. So, but today, the tech started out real strong, and also the tech got hit as well. So there got to be some rotation going on. But in any case, you could see that in the afternoon it's just really kind of sold off. Right? And here's the level that we kind of looking for possible support in the coming day. Is maybe this 1929, 1928 level here. It's essentially in this pivot low here. Okay? And if we also look at the Dow Jones 30, the Dow Jones 30 similarly, it came down, and basically right now looking at this level somewhere around this 16,000, 710 area. Okay? And again, if we take a look at the intraday chart, you can see that the same kind of characteristic as the S&P 500. So right now here's the level that we're looking at, somewhere around that 13,710 area. So, and then let's take a look at the NASDAQ 100. The NASDAQ 100, you see the NASDAQ 100 originated early in the morning. It was quite strong and make a multi-year high. And I believe at one time I saw the NASDAQ 100 was up over 30 points or something like that. So you can see if we go to the intraday chart here, you can see how strong it is, right? It came out, gapped up, and it just run all the way up here. And now we got a little flattened top here, right? Then it's kind of rolled over again, after 1 o'clock or so, it start rolling over along with the rest of the market. Okay. So right now we're basically looking at maybe in the next day or so, tomorrow, if we could see it hold 3782, then we might get a bounce off of that. If it can't hold that 3782 level, then we're probably looking at it to maybe come down and try to test for support at this 3750, 52 or 51 level. Okay. And finally, looking at the Russell 2000, the Russell 2000 been strong in the recent day, but today it's also kind of pulled back. As a matter of fact, it gave back most, all of its gain, and it kind of got weak before the Nasdaq. So you see that we're talking about tagging it up here. Let me pause that and update the data here because I'm missing a date here. Okay, got the data updated on the Russell 2000. You see this day here, we're talking about tagging up at this point here, right? If we could take out this point, move above that, then we're saying, get back to this, 1200 mark, then, we would be back in business of, maybe making an attempt on the new all-time high or the previous all-time high. Right, but you see that's kind of tagged up here and kind of backed off, and right now it might come down and test for support here somewhere around this 1171 level here. So again, going back to the intraday chart, we could see that the intraday, right here, so you see it kind of sailing off. Now if it can't hold this level, then we'll probably be talking about maybe coming back down to this 1156, 1155 area, somewhere around this, right between this gap here. Okay, so maybe at this, these level here, essentially, right? So maybe somewhere around that 1156 and the 1153 area. Okay, so those are the level that we want to keep an eye on these, index. And let's take a look at some of the stock and go back and look at some of those stock that we talked about the last few days. One is the 3D printer X1. You see that the X1, we're talking about getting this thing over here, right? Let me get this. So we're talking about breaking out, right? Come up here on this trend line, breaking out, and then getting up to tagging this particular pivot level here. So we kind of got close here, right? So if it could come up and break this level, then essentially we might be looking at least maybe come up here and possibly get up to these level here. So at least close to this 200-day moving average as these pivot, essentially work itself up to these pivot high. Right, you got a little gap here. So depending on what it's going to do tomorrow or the next coming day, because it might come hit this resistance and then start coming back, pull back a little bit, and it might set up and give a second entry opportunity here somewhere around near this price gap here. Okay, so and the other one is VJet. So VJet has also been quite strong ever since that it broke this particular baseline here. We're talking about forming a little base here and breaking up here, come up and fill this gap. So it's essentially fill this gap a little bit more. It's kind of backing off a little bit. And the next level of resistance is basically we're probably looking at this level here, somewhere around this $20 level. If we could take out this $20 level, then maybe we could see it come up and tag this, somewhere around the 24, 23 area, Okay. And the other one was Cree. Okay, Cree kind of, broke out of this little pattern here, right? So if we take a look at it's kind of broke out of this, what we call maybe a little bit of a cup and handle. Right? It broke out and kind of tagged a little bit of, stalling up here and it come back down and kind of give a little bit of false break. And right now it seems to be holding up at this support level. If it breaks the support level, then we're probably looking at for it to come back down at this level here. And if we could hold the support, then we look for another break. And if it could break through here, then the major move is extended back up near this gap here. And this could be a possibility that it could work itself up and possibly fill this gap up to 57, 58 level. So the key thing here is to keep an eye on the support level down here to see can it hold the support. Okay. And then the other one that we just recently talked about was MGM. We're talking about MGM breaking this trend line here because it got this little bounce off the support, and it broke through and it ran off this morning and it got pulled back on the market, sell off. So right now we're essentially still, kind of looking at this, because right now it essentially kind of tagged this particular resistance here, right? Okay, so we want to see could it make it back up here and break through here. If it could break through here, then we're basically looking at the next possible resistance level up at the 27. So once again, if it pull back to this, this trend line here, just be patient and look forward to see could it hold this particular support here, this support level here. And if it could hold this support, then we probably look for another trigger, right? So essentially, if you're putting in any kind of trade, then you might want to consider looking at stop level beneath this particular pivot low. Okay. Then the other one is LVS. LVS kind of booked to this trend line here. We're talking about this little triangle, but it's kind of pullback, but still, this setup is still good. So it's just a matter of managing your trade here. If you've got in, if it's not, then you just kind of wait until maybe at the pull back up at this level once again. Break to this particular pivot and try to work to up at this level, and then this is your other target here, right? So, and the other one is Groupon. We were talking about Groupon breaking through and fill this gap, which it did. So right now it's sort of, because of the market, the pullback today has kind of pulled a lot of these stock back, to form a little bit like a inverted hammer or a shooting candle and that sort of thing. So you just have to look for the previous, resistance level as support. So manage your trade if you're in it, because I think, these things is just basically as right now we're still considering these a minor pullback until it's proven to us otherwise. So we're basically managing your stop and your support level. So we're looking at it to hold this support, essentially, hold it about this particular pivot. Right? And the target is maybe it could run up to this level here, somewhere around the 770, and possibly get up to into this gap area, and that probably will encounter this 200-day moving average as resistant. Now, there's some other stock that, remember I talked about the home builder a while back that is going to rotate into the home builders. Okay, and we'll take a look at some of those later on. But I think right now you also have to pay a little bit of attention about the retailer. Okay, some of the retailers are also showing signs that they might be, money might also get rotated into those, those retailer. And the one of them is, looking at Target, right? Okay, let me zoom this in. You see that Target kind of got a little bit of a, base here, and it's essentially a swing up here right now. Okay, it's sort of trying to get back up, to that trend line. Okay, you see this, it held about this little bottom here, right? And right now it's sort of coming up on a little bit of a trend. Right? You can look at, oops. Let me get this. So you can see that's a little bit of a trend. And looking up on this baseline here, here's your little bit of a, support turned into resistance. And you can see that there's a little bit of a shooting star went to and came back. So right now it seems to be trying to break out of this baseline here. So you might want to take a look at, keep an eye on these. You might work yourself up and break this trend line and work yourself up to this 62 level. So depending on what type of trader that you are, if you're a little bit aggressive trader, then you might want to look at some entry level, some trigger somewhere around this baseline here. But you're a little bit more conservative, wait until it get up to this trend line here and look for entry on the break of that trend line. Okay. And then the other one is let's take a look at Yoku here. I think we also mentioned Yoku. I think I put up a chart there the last couple of days or so. So essentially, you're looking at this break, and I was saying that this could be like a a little bit of a head and shoulder, inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? So but essentially, we're looking for it to break about this baseline here. Okay, once again, we're looking for to hold support within this trend line. Okay, so you could use that as a reference for you to establish your stop level. Okay? And the another retailer is American Eagle Outfitter. You can see that also got a little bit trend line coming down, and essentially we're looking for it to break this particular baseline here, right? Okay, so and once it break that, we were essentially looking for maybe possibly make it back up to this particular pivot level, okay, somewhere around the 13. And then if we could fill this gap, then who knows, could even get up to close to that $15 level. Okay. Then the other one is Guess. Right? You can see some of these, retailer, have pretty good, setup pattern here. Not necessarily, it's guaranteed, but it's something that you might want to consider. Once again, you take a look at this, you can see that it's like a little bit of a inverted head and shoulder pattern, right? Breaking out of this baseline, this declining trend line, and you might looking at the possibility for it to work up at these pivot level, right? Okay, and finally the last one on the retailer is Ralph Lauren. And you can see again, it seems like giving you all these little bit of a, inverted head and shoulder pattern. All right. Okay, here's a little break. All right. So targeting this little bit near-term level here as a target, then maybe it could work itself up at this level and possibly at this level. But right now, this would be the primary, initial target level that we want to, target, shoot for if you. If it could break through this downtrend, trend line here. Okay, then let's jump into. Okay, let's go back and talk about Angie's List. I think that was one of the social media stock I also mentioned recently. We're talking about here's a little base that it broke out, and when it broke out at this, this particular baseline here, and right now it appeared that it is sort of like. You could look at this like forming of a little flag here. So you could watch for this breakout of this flag, and then you could do a little bit of a major move, right? Like this right here for this flag. Then we could get it up to somewhere around this 1479, which is close to this pivot high here, okay, and slightly above the the 200-day moving average. Okay. Then the other one is Candy. This is the the Chinese electric car company. So again, you can see that could be working itself up to break this pivot level here, this baseline of 1460. Right now, it seems to be holding support on this trend line. So if you want to be a little bit aggressive, you might be able to look for some kind of pullback and a breakout of this little bit of a pullback bull flag. As long as it holds this particular support trend line. Okay, so and then you could have maybe scaled in and work your position up to the breakout of this particular baseline here. So trade into the breakout instead of trade off the breakout. Right? Okay. And so let's talk about some of the home builder. The first one is Toll Brothers. I mentioned that on one of the tweaks. You can see that this nice little base, right? Okay, got a little base here, and here's a little pivot of the base. It broke through, came up, and encountered some resistance on this particular trend line on the downside. So right now it's been testing this baseline and try to come up and break this level. So if we could get up above this level here, somewhere around 37.50, then it could have a good possibility of maybe it'll work itself back up to that $40 level. Okay. Now again, you could be a little bit aggressive. If you have some kind of setup and entry, type of a scheme here, you probably could find something here to get in and maybe play it into the breakout. Right. And here's DR Horton, okay, and so again, here's that little baseline here, and right, broke through, found resistance, come back down, right, hover around this base, and now it's breaking through. So if we could break through this particular baseline at this 25, right, then we could see. Didn't want to zoom out that far. Then maybe it could get up to some of these level up here, right near these gap level, okay. So maybe somewhere around this 35, and possibly get up to this 2650. So you can see that again, if you want to look at in terms of the Fibonacci retracement, you can see how these guys go up, came down, 50%, bounce up to 50%, right, and then move itself up, and right now essentially trying to break through this 100% level and possibly get into this 127, which is somewhere around that 27 mark. Okay. And then the one that I also mentioned a couple times is KB Home. You can see KB Home. If you look at this on a bigger picture, it seems like it's a little bit of a trading band and just bouncing off of the bottom of the band here. And you can see that it is actually sort of holding up this support here, right? And I mean this trend line here, okay. So, and if I zoom in on this, you could get a closer look. Right, so essentially on this trend line, it sort of broke out this little base here, right, and now it's coming up and trying to break out of this pivot. If we could break out this pivot of 1818, 1820, then we'll probably maybe see it to move itself up to this 20, closer to this 21. Of course, there's a low pivot here that might present a low resistance here at 1943. And then finally, the last one is Standard Pacific. Okay, so Standard Pacific, let me zoom this out. Okay, again, you can see that it looks like a little bit of a wedge. Okay, and if we zoom in here, okay, you can see that it's also coming up to try to break this baseline here. Although it might not seem like a inverted head and shoulder pattern, but one could also sort of make it a case like that. Right? So if it break through, okay. So we're essentially looking at for it to break above this maybe about 850, 855 level, then maybe it could work itself up to this 920 area and possibly even a little bit higher. If I zoom in, so we could get some more of the pivot point here. Okay, so and probably could get up to this 940, 945. Okay, so those are some of the home builders and some of the stock that you might want to keep an eye on. Although we got a little bit pullback today, maybe there's a continuation, or maybe they just gap up and just kind of try to trap some of the shorts, shake some of the longs out. So you never know, because the market act in its own mysterious way. All we could do is basically go with the flow, don't fight the trend. So good luck on the trading tomorrow.